For ACUSports.com, I'm Grant Boone, talking some Wildcat football here with senior wide receiver and a whole bunch of other things. We'll talk about that in a second. Jonathan Epps and the head coach. That's all you do is head coach, Ken Collums. Let's talk with Jonathan Epps first, the senior from New Orleans, but played high school ball in Fort Worth. Let's talk a little bit about that, because you were a Katrina kid in a way, weren't you? Your family from New Orleans, but you played ball in Fort Worth. Tell us about that transition and being displaced from your home.
It was tough at first. It's always hard being somewhere and then out of the blue you have to go somewhere else. And it was tough on my family. It was tough on everybody. When I came to Texas, my mom and dad felt like it had a better education system, and we decided to go ahead and stay in Texas. Wound up being the best decision of my life, definitely.
Fortunate to have some family there in Fort Worth where you could stay. Now your folks are back in New Orleans. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They're back.
Right. And that's why you're a Saints fan, not a Cowboys fan. Is that right?
Right.
Gotta get that clarified. Jonathan, you've done a little bit of everything in your 2 years here at ACU. You've been a wide receiver, you've been a cornerback, you've returned punch, you've returned kicks. You may have driven the bus home, I don't know. Do you like doing all of those things? Would you rather just do one or the other?
No, I like doing it all. Just like me and Coach had a talk the other day, and I'm having a great college experience. You know, you have some guys that could just only play offense, some guys only play defense. But when our defense is down, they put me in to try to help make a play, and I just love that because the defensive coaches trust me and the offensive coach trusts me. So it's a great experience for me. I'm loving it.
Well, you're producing every time you put your hands on the ball. You had a big game against Sam Houston State a year ago. Now the Bearcats come to town this week. You are number 2 on the team in receptions. Your team hasn't lost a game at home yet this year. What has been the difference in your mind between the road and playing at home?
We're at home. I feel like we're excited to play in the front of our home crowd, and we come out a little bit more aggressive. We don't come out tiptoeing. We just have a little bit more confidence, a little bit more swagger about ourselves at home.
Tell us about the touchdown catch the other night, the little block and go move.
We ran that screen play all game long. So when Coach called the fake screen, I knew it was going to be a touchdown. He gave me an opportunity to make a play on it, and I made a play.
You sure did, and you've been making plays every time you've been on the field. Coach, let's talk about a guy who's doing for ACU a little bit of the same kind of things. We're seeing him do some of those things that a guy who's going into the Hall of Fame this weekend, Danielle Manning, did. Now, Manning went on to the NFL, but when you think about what you've asked of Jonathan Epps, I mean, it's been a little bit of everything, hasn't it?
It sure has. And when you look at what Danielle did here, you know, he did it all. But Jonathan Epps is doing it. He's doing it on a regular basis every single week. And it's just what sticks out to me about Jonathan Epps is he's put aside whatever his personal goals are, and he's put the ACU Wildcats in front of that. And he just happens to be talented enough and trustworthy enough, because if we didn't trust him to go out there and cover people, it doesn't matter if he can backpedal or anything like that. But the fact is these offensive coaches want him, the defensive coaches want him, and the special teams coach want him. And that sometimes for a college football player, they're begging for one side of the ball to one. But so when he talked about his college experience, we talk about that a lot. And, you know, football is a major part of who they are. It's the reason he came here. But he's also here for, a bigger picture. And he's growing as a person. He's having a good college experience. And he's a super productive player.
Sam Houston State has a few of those too, don't they? Some super productive players. Yes. They're coming here sporting the nation's #1 scoring offense, 49 points per game, number 2 in total yards per game, and they've played a pretty hefty schedule. They've already played Division I Big 12 opponent Texas Tech and rolled up a big yardage and big point totals against the Red Raiders. Why is Sam Houston State so good?
Well, the number one thing you look at is their talent. When you study them like you do, you know, on game week, you realize, all right, these guys are talented. They're big and strong, but the problem is there's multiple of those guys. You know, they'll play 4 different safeties. They'll play, 6 different linebackers and 8 different D linemen, and they're all good. And they just keep coming at you. They keep coming at you. You constantly look for matchups to take advantage of, or some kind of scheme or some kind of hitch in their deal where you can exploit. But the fact is they make you play from sideline to sideline. They make you play quality football because there's really nothing to exploit. There's no real matchup that'll help you win a game. It's about executing your offense and your defense and your special teams every single time, and that's the only way to beat these guys, is to play well and not look up and go, oh yeah, well we just won that matchup that one time. You got to play consistently to beat these guys.
We saw in the second half against Lamar, the drop-back passing game really give the Cardinals some fits. You connected on a couple of deep balls. It's one of the reasons why you outscored them in the second half. You scored 28 second-half points and had almost 300 yards of offense. Against Sam Houston State, though, it's not just as simple as simply dropping back 6-7 times and chunking it deep, is it?
No, and if it was that simple, I would rest a lot more this week. But the fact is you have got to be able to run the ball some, and that's one thing. If we're out there on Saturday afternoon and we're not running the ball, it's going to be hard, because with this defensive line that we're about to face, which reminds me of the Central Arkansas defensive front, you can't just drop back pass. I mean, you can't do that. They're gonna beat your guys one-on-one, so you have to do different things. You got to protect your guys up front, but all the while you got to get the ball out of your quarterback's hand.
Well, this guy, Jonathan Epps, will be busy on Saturday, as will the Wildcats, as they host the Sam Houston State Bearcats. It's the homecoming game. The game's been moved from a 2 o'clock kickoff to 2:30 to accommodate a regional television audience, so we expect a big homecoming crowd out there at Shotwell Stadium. For Jonathan Epps and for Coach Ken Collums, I'm Grant Boone for ACUSports.com.